Okay, so in 3.1.2, what we're going to do is we're going to continue talking about transformations, but we're going to talk about two more, rotations and translations. But we're going to talk about it in terms of what we talked about in the first lesson, which was all about reflections. All right, so on the other side of your resource page, right, I want you to locate this image, right? So again, notice that we have triangle A, B, C, and then we have two lines right here. So line N, line P, notice that they are labeled, right? And again, if we were in class and doing this properly, right, we would be in groups and talking about this. But what's happening is Amanda's thinking about reflecting A, B, C. So we're going to reflect it twice over these two parallel lines. So again, things to keep in mind. So reflect ABC twice. There should be a little triangle in front of ABC, and then over two parallel lines. Okay. Every time we reflect, we're going to get an image. And so when we create our image, we also want to make sure that we label our image. So this is what I was talking about with the prime, things like that. So notice that kind of looks like an apostrophe. So the apostrophe symbol is read as prime, and the image of a new triangle can be called A prime, B prime, C prime. And again, it's written kind of like that. So I want you to make sure that you copy down this sentence right here, right? So how it's read. A prime, B prime, C prime, and then triangle A prime, B prime, and C prime, where A is the image of A, B prime is the image of B, C prime is the image of C if we want to deal with that. But again, this just means that this is the image of the original one. So what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video and I want you to reflect it twice. So this one is going to be your A prime, B prime, C prime, which means if we reflect this one a second time, right, it's going to be read as A double prime, B double prime, and C double prime. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to figure out kind of what's happening with all of our images. So go ahead and pause the video now and perform the reflection twice. Again, use patty paper if you need a little help. Notice that B needs to be a certain distance away from line N, so it'll be over here. Notice how long C and B is. So again, it's got to be that same length. So we want to make sure that we preserve or keep intact all of that stuff. Okay, so if you have reflected it over twice, I'm going to go ahead and show you what that should have looked like. If you have not, again, pause the video and look at it. But here is what it should look like, is this. So again, notice A prime, B prime, C prime, and again, A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. So what do you notice? So what do you notice between the original, right, original image and this new image? What do you notice about it? One thing that should have come to your head is that it kind of looks like it slid over, right? So it slid all the way over, right? Again, if you want to, copy this image onto your patty paper and then just slide it over if you have not already done so. And you'll notice that it fits right perfectly right here. So really what this was is this is your translation. Right, so this is your translation. Again, it looks almost like a slide of some sort. Okay, again, we're going to be focusing on the formal definition a little bit later. But again, it's just a quick little slide. Okay, so if we reflect over two parallel lines, what's going to happen if we reflect over two lines that are not parallel? All right, so let's see what will happen there. So, so what I want you to do is again, here's a new image, EGF, right? Here's the original one. And we do have two lines of reflection. So one is kind of like what we're used to seeing, just a vertical line. And the other one kind of looks like it's at an angle. So line V and line W. Okay, so we're going to reflect it over twice. And I want you to notice, I want you to write down, what do you notice about the last image? So our last image should be somewhere over here. So the E double prime, G double prime, F double prime should be in this one. And then just the regular E, F, and then G prime should be here. It doesn't, right now the order is not too much, but again, I want you to copy it down and I want you to think about what do you notice? So is the final image, do you think it's a translation, right? Does it look kind of like that reflection or does it look like something else that we might have seen? So again, pause the video and try to the best of your ability to reflect it over here. I will give you strategies in just a second to reflect over this line, but I kind of want to see if you can do it first. So go ahead, pause the video right now. All right. So if we are coming back from the pause video, I'm going to show you what the new images look like. All right. So it kind of looks like this, right? Looks like this. So again, an E prime, F prime, G prime, and then a G double prime, F double prime, or sorry, E double prime, F double prime. Okay. And so what you should have noticed is that it kind of looks more like a rotation. So it almost looks like it turned, right? And so everything actually happened right here. So I want you to go ahead and notice that there's now an addition sign on P, right? What I want you to write down is that this is really the point of rotation, okay? So that is a very important piece because we're always going to rotate it around some sort of point. Rotation, translation, all of them will be actually a little bit easier once we actually do this on a grid, like an XY axis instead of just a plain old piece of graph paper right now. Okay, so if you had difficulty reflecting it, what I want you to do, so I want you to kind of look at this statement right here. Okay, so actually, to be honest, let's look at this statement right here. This will probably help us a little bit better. So disregard, we're going to come to this one in just a second, but let's look at this statement first. So I'll take this away. So it says in part A, the center of rotation is point P, which we just said, right here, point of rotation. So use our tracing paper to test this out. So what I want you to do is I want your tracing paper to cover this whole image. And I want you to trace E, G, F onto your tracing paper. And then at your point P, right, you're going to make a little dot, and then you're going to put a little addition sign. So that's what it says here. So to do this, first trace E, F, G, and the little addition sign at point P onto your tracing paper. So go ahead, pause the video right now, try to do that. And then what you are going to do is you are going to try to rotate this paper. So you're going to rotate this paper clockwise, right? So holding your pencil right at point P. And so what you're going to notice is that if this is your addition sign, right? And I'm going to put a little dot right here. So this will be the start of the addition sign. What's going to happen is you're going to rotate it and this little dot is going to move right here. So this means that this would be a 90 degrees clockwise, right? If I do this one more time and my dot comes down here, it is another 90 degrees, but if we consider it from the start, this would be 180 degrees. And then if we continue and put it right here, this would again would be 270 clockwise. And these all actually have two, if I can go clockwise, I can also go counterclockwise. So this is also 90 degrees counter. This is 180 degrees. It doesn't matter, counter or clockwise. And then this one would be your 270 counter. Okay, but again, if you notice, this image should rest on this paper. That's how we can actually know if our rotation is correct. So again, this is a rotation. So notice kind of here's our picture, center of rotation, a ice cream cone being rotated. So again, I want to make sure that you guys have this copied down. I do want you to write down the difference between clockwise, right, and then kind of going this direction, and then opposite direction is counterclockwise and in that direction. So it doesn't matter how often you turn and what direction, you should always still get to that image. So if I turn this way, I'll get to this image, or I could have turned this way and we're going all the way around, and it should still match up with this image if we did everything correctly. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to take this knowledge of rotation and I want you to try doing it onto this paper. So it says you're going, so block L, because it's looks like an L block, right? And so copy this image if we need a little extra help onto your patty paper. Make sure that you put a little addition sign right here on your paper where there's point Q, and it says you're going to rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise. So basically this means that if I put a little dot right here, if I rotate it, that means that here's my point of rotation. If I started here 90 degrees counterclockwise, that little dot would land on top, right? So again, this is the start, this is the new one. We're going to go in that direction. So go ahead and pause the video now and double check that your rotation is good. All right, so if you're coming back from pausing the video, I'm going to go ahead and show you what the new image looks like. If it's not quite correct, go ahead and pause the video and correct it, but this is what the new image should look like. So notice that now the L kind of looks like it's on its side, and it should be kind of next to each other. So again, this is vertical. Notice now it's horizontal. This was horizontal. Notice that this is now vertical. Okay, and make sure that your shape did not change widths and heights. So notice that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 long. So this must mean it should be 6 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, I do want you to copy down this, right? All of these reflections, rotations, translations of figures are called rigid transformations, right? Keyword is rigid. Okay, so rigid transformations do not change any of the measures of the angles, side lengths in this image, which means, do you think it's going to preserve, meaning not change, so not change the area? Do you think it's also going to preserve the perimeter? So I want you to think about that as we are continuing on, okay? So if we come and see our last image, okay? So on this picture, what I want you to do is, if you would like to, please copy it down. Again, here's the original, here's the new, and I want you to ask yourself, how do you get from triangle ABC to triangle A prime, B prime, C prime? So I want you to write down the transformations, so transformations, right, that you think are going to get you from this to this. If you need to pause the video, go ahead and pause the video. There is a lot of different ways. Unfortunately, I can't think of all the ways that you guys are going to come up with, but I'll tell you the one that I think you guys will probably do the most. So, coming back from our break, this is what I think will happen. I think you probably noticed that it needed to reflect, and notice that these are 2 units away. So I would say that it would reflect, right? I'm going to say that it reflects over the x is equal to 3 line. So if I did that, that means that it would be right here, and right here. So this would be your C, B, and A. And then notice that the C is right above C prime, the B is right above B prime, and the A is right above A prime. So then I would say you're going to translate down, and it looks like you're going to translate down 2 units. So again, transformations are just directions. Okay. Coming back to this problem that I want you to think about, do you think that area is preserved? It's not going to change. Do you think perimeter is going to be preserved? The answer to both of the questions is yes. It does preserve our area. It does preserve our perimeter, right? I could find the area, which area of a triangle is 1/2 times base times height. So the base, 1, 2. The height is 4. I'll multiply this by 1/2. So 2 times 4 is 8. 1/2 of 8 is 4. And I could do the same thing, 2 times 8 and then 1/2 of that.